Okay, it is now the time to start the third and the last panel prepared for today, titled From Good Practices to Policy, and the panel will be moderated by Małgosia Kopka-Piątek, who is also one of the partners in the project. Have a good discussions, ladies.
Yeah, thank you, Jana. Thank you to all of you who stayed so long. This is the third partner. This is even panel. This is even worse than having panel directly after the lunch. But yeah, with this distinguished guests, our experts, I'm more than sure that we will still keep your attention and we'll have a good discussion on how to bring all those good examples, good practices that we collected during the whole project, but also during the discussion today, into a policy, into a systemic change. As we heard a lot about also in the previous panel, and also from your questions and comments, that there is a definitely need of change. At least I read it this way, that the status quo is not accepted anymore, or at least by part of the consumers of the society, also by the educators and young people. The idea of this panel is to ask our people in charge, like Joanna Makówka-Kwapisiewicz from the Ministry of National Education, Sania Nikolin from the Office of Democracy and Human Rights and the European Organization for Security and Cooperation in Europe, OSCE ODIHR. This is the very complicated abbreviation there, but Sania will explain what you are doing and why it's also important for us, like for Poland and other countries. And last but not least, our academic expert, Professor Aleksandra Gasztold, a very recommended good expert on security, but also on cybersecurity, and also on gender within it, but also, which is important on our panel, you are also activists within the organization Women in International Security Wise Poland. As we are missing Marta Puciłowska-Szylman, as she should be the voice of the NGO, I hope that we can, cover also this topic, also with Anna Makówka, with your very long experience also on the side of civil society and yeah, you are still young, of course. This is I can say it about you that you have a long experience, and I still believe that you are young. Yeah, but. But what I wanted also to mention is that you are now in this official position of being the director of the Office of the Minister of National Education. But with your experience also as an activist on hate speech or of hate crimes, right? I wanted to ask you, how do you see the situation in Poland now, or are you as a government, as a public administration, on the way to introduce this systemic change that we are here asking for?
And I have 2 minutes, right?
Yes. No, 10.
So okay, I will later read like the things which we are implementing as a Ministry of Education. We were laughing before that like it's easier to be an advocate, like representing civil society organization, advocacy organization, than being representing like the government, right? And everyone is expecting that I will say something which was like revolutionary, like changes. From my perspective, it's very personal-oriented action, I would say, like that people which are in power and like their beliefs, their attitudes matters, and their background. So I'm privileged like to work within the ministerial network, Ministry of Education, with a person which is coming, like she's female, she's a feminist, she's coming from the civil society organization, she's very vocal during black marches, fighting for our like rights, reproductive rights as well, and right now she's in charge of education. So it's really like the aspect and the network which she's representing and also like creating the space for the exchanges, it's like, it's unbelievable. And I was so touched when I entered to the ministry and I saw like the minister, like in the, you're using feminatives, right? It's not male minister, but ministra. So in Polish, it's like, it was very touching. So I was like, wow. After 8 years, like it was really something which just appeared to me. And what is striking, like the people which are involved in the process of exchanges, of like to create the space for a dialogue, it's unbelievable because like we have a lot of advisory bodies based and like from the civil society organization, also those who are like vocally criticizing ministry and minister it's herself. And she's like not afraid of to address and to invite those people like to talk with them and to ask for the advices. So that shows like the mature aspect for the democracy. And we have advisory body for the equality, and I'm also like the coordinator plenipotentiary for the equality in the for the educational aspect in Poland, and Ola is part of it as well. And our previous meeting was about the radicalization and about the schools and the network and also the safety in the schools. We have the council, advisory council in the terms of Ukrainian students. And the program which the ministry is implementing was awarded as the Innovations in Politics, very prestigious awards by the institute based in Vienna, right, in Austria, liberal think tank. So like those actions are recognized, they are visible. Also, we have advisory body run and like developed by the civil society organizations. So like, and they are different organizations, right? Like recently in November, as I recall, I'm looking at a friend of mine, a colleague from the ministry, Agnieszka, who is here. There was a network of the organization, like the round table of the organizations dealing with the cybersecurity. And also the topics which we are dealing here. And we were discussing the safety of the kids in schools, what to do, how to change those aspects. And because of that meeting, and like 3 ministers were there, they were listening, exchanging the good practices, also with teachers, with students. 3 working groups were established, and recommendations were like elaborated and created for the ministry, and also for the actions for the ministry. And I was listening to the previous panelists, and we recently organized a meeting with the Prime Minister. And it was a closed meeting. It was 60 participants participating within that meeting. And there was representatives of the civil society organization, students, pupils, teachers, director of the schools. And I remember like 2 last voices of the young student. It was like the first year, and he was studying law. He's studying law. And he was saying that he's not so privileged. He's coming from the small settlement. And the internet and AI, etc., was the window for the world for him. So like he was not so privileged like to access the benefits which we are accessing as living in a big city, but it was the like door opening experience. And the last person who was like taking the spot and to address that person concerns was that there was a space for the networking reasons, because that person felt so alone, and that was the only possible way to create the network of the friends, because I was the non-binary person, like the person was excluded from the environmental society when the person was living. So also there are the different aspects of the online sphere which we need to address and like be aware of. And in the terms of Ministry of Education, what we are doing in the terms, like we are going through the changes, like we are creating and implementing the reform of education. And I have the notes which I wanted to read, like to show what we are doing and what the new topics which we are like implementing. So we had the civic education, which was introduced in September 2025, health education, IT, education for safety, media education module, which is going to implement in September 26, security and defense module, also from September 26, which the main competences being developed within that subjects are critical thinking, sources verification, media literacy, safety online behavior, digital hygiene, resilience and manipulation and disinformation, responsible use of AI. So as you can see, like the topics which are like needed, like we address them today, and they need to be available and like for the schools also. And in the terms as we have 700,000 teachers, more than 700 teachers, 750 as I recall. In Poland, we are like organizing trainings for those teachers. It's like cascade. So we are like training those, organizing trainings for those who will be multiplying the effects of the trainings, like to implement those tools. But also like we need to be aware that like, and to respect and also like to appreciate the actions of the teachers, because like if there is no will, there will be no action, right? So they need to also like to support the ideas. So that's why like the minister is like traveling around the Poland, meeting with the teachers, meeting with the students, and she's discussing those aspects. So, and also like two more things, I'm seeing your eyes, that what we are implementing is that 19,000 of schools, they are the Polish educational network. The network was created in the 2018. So those schools which are like connected with the internet, they need to provide safety rules. So of course, like all the schools are obliged to have it, but those are connected with the Ministry of Education. So in that regard, there's a lot of, and I think that will be a space like to elaborate more. But for the beginning, that's it.
Okay, thank you. Just for the audience, this is quite rare situation for some of us from NGO and not NGO to have a representative of administration of government. So prepare some questions, and they can be tough. They can be tough. Anya will stand it definitely. From the national perspective, I would like to move to the international. Having Sania with us, you are leader of the Change project, which I hope you will elaborate on. But also your office, generally your organization, is in its mandate has also gender equality, but also safety for all citizens, right? So they are all topics that we are talking about, having this security also in the name of the organization. So I would like to ask you to elaborate on from your work, from the institution that you are part of, what are instruments, what are experiences, also exchanges on the international level that you can share with us in order to empower us of also there are things going on and we can be part of it. Please. I know that you want to.
Yeah. I will stand up because I manage the Change project and we always have to change something. And you've been sitting all day, at least you know your heads will be moving a little bit if I move. So let's hope this works for the both of us. So I come from this organization with a difficult acronym. It is Organization for Security and Cooperation in Europe. And an autonomous institution in this organization is Office for Democratic Institutions and Human Rights, ODIHR. And I work with ODIHR, and we're based in Poland, and OSCE is based in Vienna. And we're always grateful to the government of Poland and also to citizens of Poland for being such great hosts to our organization. So OSCE, as Małgorzata mentioned, is concerned with human security. And we understand security as a complex three-dimensional thing. One dimension is politico-military, the classical security that you would think of first. The second is economic and environmental. And the third is human dimension. At ODIHR, we deal with the human dimension. And this means democratic institutions, free and fair elections, rule of law, human rights, dialogue between citizens and government, fair and free elections, I said that, but then free legislative powers that decide fairly, judiciary that also ensures efficient process. So this is how we work. And within that organization, I manage one project, which is Change. And that project is focused on gender equality, ensuring women's safety, and influencing democratic institutions to make better gender-responsive policies and laws. And we work across ODIHR's mandate, so in all sectors. And I will just share with you a few tools which I think might be useful for you as well, but also for your awareness of what we do. And the latest tool that we're very proud of was developed with human rights defenders and civil society actors from different countries. And they just naturally, organically emerged into a network. They're called the Change Network to prevent, address, and reverse gender backsliding. And as gender backsliding, we understand systemic attempts that are often violent, trying to undo gains on gender equality, to decrease level of equality for certain groups or all women in society. And we understand disinformation, malinformation, misinformation as a tool contributing to gender backsliding. So we have collected data, I mean, they have collected data, the network, for 2 years, 2024 and 2025. And I will just read some of the findings with the understanding that they are preliminary. Who was attacked? Based on 2025 data, 110 cases were reported, and women in general were attacked in 28 cases. Women and men working in civil societies and as human rights defenders on gender equality in 27 cases. Individual women and men for their work on gender equality, so that would be human rights defenders or people who are just individuals posting online, 22 cases. And institutional mechanisms on gender equality and LGBTI persons in 17 cases each. Women in politics, 12. Independent institutions for their work on gender equality, 2. And women from ethnic minorities and male allies, 1 each. So this is not a comprehensive list. The reporting is voluntary. Civil society organizations choose whether they want to report to us. And this is only a pilot tool, so the scale in real life is much grander than the pool of data that we have. But our pool is indicative mostly to check if the tool is working, because we're hoping to make it public so that all of us can use it as well. Who were the perpetrator? Now this is, I think, interesting, potentially. They were tied to democratic institutions in 67 cases. They were anti-gender organizations in 15 cases, public figures in 8, religious groups in 1, and then there were some other individual cases. So we usually think that gender backsliding is triggered from the outside, but what we see is that when we started collecting data, actually it has penetrated our institutions, and there are already sponsors in the democratic institutions, so the very walls that we have built to protect us. And this is, of course, not all institutions and all staffers. It can be one member of parliament, it can be, one member of government, but it is a concern. And beyond gender equality, what other rights were attacked in these reported cases? Freedom from discrimination, right to equality before the law, freedom of expression, opinion, and information, right to participate in government and free elections, freedom from interference with privacy, family, home, and correspondence, right to peaceful assembly and association, right to life, liberty, and personal security. So what is important for gender backsliding, and we all know that, is that it goes hand in hand with democratic backsliding. And it is often used as a tool of democratic backsliding, where gender equality isn't even the point. It is just an easy target, but it's also a collateral damage. What were the tools used? So many tools were used, and this is another one of the main points. So imposing institutional barriers to gender equality, stepping back from international commitments, and when I use the word commitments here, I mean things that we have all agreed on, like CEDAW, Convention on Elimination of All Forms of Discrimination Against Women, or Beijing Declaration and Platform for Action, or OSCE commitments on political participation of women, or other commitments. Formalizing setbacks in domestic laws, policies related to gender equality and non-discrimination in one OSCE participating states. Just in one day, gender was taken out of 15 laws. So what took 70, 80 years to build was undone in moments, and that is really scary. They sometimes offer political or institutional support to anti-gender equality actors, so like a patronage for anti-gender work, or very often isolate, target, and harass individual activists and advocates for gender equality, both online and offline, and you spoke about this a lot today. Initiate petitions and e-petitions against gender equality and diversity, organize public protests, demonstrations, engage in strategic litigation against gender equality, disseminate disinformation, gender disinformation, malinformation, misinformation. Violence against women in politics, which is on the increase, is also a tool for gender backsliding. Gender-based hate speech, technology facilitated gender-based violence, online attacks on women in politics, or digital violence against women journalists. So these are some of the tools used. And what are the institutional responses? So mandated institutions remain silent in 21 of 110 cases. They actually contributed to triggering of the incident or sided with the perpetrator, also in 21 cases. It was not known at the time of reporting in 10, and mandated institutions responded in accordance with the law, more rarely, or covertly supported the perpetrators. So it is the silence that allows for gender backsliding to take effect. While it is outside the institutions, it cannot harm us as much. But once it penetrates the institutions, it becomes a real threat to all of us. And what about national human rights institutions? They also remain silent at the time of reporting in 31 cases. It was not known at the time of reporting, or they had no mandate in a solid number of cases. They responded ex officio or responded in accordance with the mandate and actively sought to protect human rights and gender equality in a very small number of cases. What this goes to show is that we're not actually using the tools that we have. We have developed these tools over a long time, and we could do more through our institutions to oppose, to reverse gender backsliding, not talk about education system, which is our strongest tool, really. So with that regard, these are my key takeaways. And then if I have more time, I will tell you about some more tools. If not, I'll stop here. Backsliding on gender equality really succeeds in silence by institutions. As citizens, we have the power to demand responses by our institutions, and sometimes they need encouragement because this is a relatively new phenomenon, and sometimes there is no, foreseen pathway of action. So we need to collaborate on that. But we do have the tools to prevent and address gender backsliding. Our biggest collective strength is to make sure that more people understand and support these commitments. We actually, as a planet, have agreed in 1995 when 17,000 state representatives and 30,000 civil society representatives all flew to Beijing and, contributed to the Beijing Declaration and Platform for Action. As a planet, we agreed that gender equality is a priority and that we should all work to achieve it. And, sometimes we think about these commitments as historic moments that are no longer active. The news cycle forces us to focus on what is the newest achievement. But it's important to remember and to know, what has been agreed, because it took so long to agree on it. When so many countries, have to look into every word of an agreement, we have to use it more diligently, I think, and also including the OSCE commitments. So they're not historic documents, they're living tools that we can use. And we can reverse the damage done to human rights through collective action and through multi-stakeholder dialogue. What gender backsliding indicates to us is that we have failed in dialogue. We have to talk, with all our differences and between civil society and government. And this dialogue, in some countries, there is no political will to have it. That is why civil society and human rights defenders really have a role in initiating that dialogue, and we think through transnational action, because we do not have sufficient leverage at home often. Civil society is operating in hostility and austerity. So the networks like Change Transnational Network are trying to bridge those gaps and go above national governments and try and open up those discussions. So this is part of our recipe. Other tools that we have, and
can we skip it for the next part of the
course,
or for the
of
discussion?
Course. Thank you very much.
Yeah,
yes,
thank you, Sanja. Thank you for recalling the institutions and the platforms that we already have before inventing some new one, which is sometimes, like a form of escaping, the problems is, let's build another institution, let's, build some other office for something and employ a lot of people, spend a lot of money and at the end don't solve the problem at all. But this is a good recall of all those commitments also by the government that we already have and should use, but also a good recall of the power of the citizens' voice within the NGOs or as individuals. Speaking about the civil society, I would like to turn to Alexandra Gasztold as a researcher, as an active researcher, let's call it, to combine your both roles. You are a researcher on security, on cybersecurity, and on women. And I could list more, but this is what is of interest for today are these three fields. And I want to ask you from your perspective, from your research, from what you write and read, from your colleagues. Yeah, it's a lot. I know. Is how would you what would you recommend? What are the tools that the government, the international institution can use as before bad things happened, instead of dealing with the harm already done?
Okay, thank you very much. I have to add to this list that I am also editor-in-chief in NASC. So I'm not only researcher, but also I work for Defense Institute for cyberspace protections. So usually these three words of mine, they do not talk to each other, even through me. However, I want to show you how to wave them to cooperation. I have prepared 3 cases from Brazil, United States, and India, how it works. But generally, according to online, hate speech, misogyny, and anti-feminist movement, I have just come back from Taiwan, and they do not have such a problem. Anti-feminist movement wasn't applied in Taiwan society. They were resilient. In South Korea, not. And compare equality, real equality, in Germany, Great Britain, Poland, and Taiwan. Why? Because their reaction was faster. So, generally, first statement, we act and react too slow. When a female politician or journalist or activist is attacked online, we usually wait until the damage is done. So we are reactive. So I want us to move toward anticipation. Think of the little smoke detectors here. I come in and I see everything almost. No, it's not like that. And you don't want to wait that the whole room, the whole hotel here to be on fire. You want to hear alarm, warning system before there is a smoke. And how do we could build this detector? We have to understand that generally hate speech and disinformation towards women is built on identity. They are attacked not because they are famous, not because they are political leaders. They are attacked because they are women. That's it. And this is huge difference. For example, when I observed X, Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, TikTok towards our male politician, they are attacked because they are saying some controversial things or they are leaders of some parties. Women not. Only because they are women and they have their bodies. That's it. So this means our early warning system should look for triggers in appearance, in some platforms, in topics, interrelated with almost everything. So let's look to Brazil. It's a good example. 4 years ago, during the elections, scientists from academia, they used artificial intelligence to scan over 10 million of tweets. I hate X as well, so you understand my feeling. However, 10 million tweets. And they didn't just look for mean words towards women. They trained the computers to look for language signs of hate, gender hate speech, and misogyny, according appearance, education, everything. So imagine a traffic light for government and political party which shows green light when everything is okay, neutral conversation, and red light, okay, this will be the trigger. So it exists only on the paper. So I think that research should have legs, should have access. I read a lot of 200-page reports, and they don't have any kind of influence on our decision making. So this any warning system, they exist, unfortunately, in Scopus databases or Web of Sciences. However, we see similar patterns in Canada and in the United States. For example, last studies from the last year show that about 15% of all messages sent to female senators were aggressive, insulting, and rude. And here is the scary part, that the more successful and visible online as well these women become, the more intense the attacks get. So we can prepare our politicians when they will be much more visible before the attack, also legally, psychologically, and we can prepare our detection system. Police, NASC, Internal Security Agency, everyone here, because we know that she will be visible. She has important speech in parliament or in some school, whatever, in Poland. So she will be attacked because we will post about it. She will be interviewed, etc. So she will be seen, and misogyny hates women who are seen. So the last example from India, and I like this example very much because I observed it according to the sexual abuse of minors. It's so-called Queen's Web Sanctuary. Cyber elves detects deepfakes with women images before they see it. So they detect false information and harmful images, and instead of sending it to a real woman, they send it to police forces or some, I don't know, detection center, and the content disappears before she is harmed, and her close relatives, for example. And of course, it is built on trust. And in Poland, from my humble opinion, governmental institutions, they cannot cooperate with NGOs and private sector like in Ukraine case. So I hope that with time we will build such a platform of exchange information in real time. Even if we have bodies, for example, we cooperate with some NGOs on a governmental level, it looks like that. I'm sorry for saying that. We have a one-year meeting. We post wonderful pictures on websites like Facebook platform, etc. And everyone is happy. No, such a meeting, according to cyberspace, I'm talking about only cyberspace, so don't worry. They should be once a week because everything is happening so fast in cyber. All the time we are abused by many hostile actors. So once a year, one per 3 months, it's not enough. If you want to build a shield to protect us, okay, critical thinking lectures are very important, but also detection, preemptive detection, pre-banking, looking for triggers in internet flow, what can be used against and whom. In security research and studies, I always asking about the subject. Whose security? Not who guarantees security. Whose? we are talking about people. So I also recommend also to my PhD students, we don't conduct research on people, only for people. So applied science, it's my field of acting. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Is it time for the questions, for the tough one? Or should I... Oh, yeah, there is a question, okay. I will go to you with the microphone.
It's not a tough question. I just have a really quick question about the research presented by Sanya. What country or countries were covered by the research that you've cited?
Thank you for the question. I'm not at liberty to disclose that because it hasn't been published yet. So it's our internal rule that I can, but multiple countries, including Poland.
Okay. Daphne?
Hi, thank you for your input. I have two questions for you, Anna. Because you mentioned these new subjects entering school in the coming months, I was wondering about the practical terms or the practical framework. So does that mean that these classes will be implemented in specific, let's say, for specific ages, or is it across ages? So elementary school, middle school, lyceum, if you have a lyceum. And also, does this mean that other subjects are kind of having their hours limited to accommodate the addition of these classes? Because it's very interesting. We are having trouble in Cyprus as well with the comprehensive sexual education, and which classes give up their time for these new classes to take place, let's say. So that's my question for you. And my question for Alexandra. You mentioned, oh no, now my brain went blank. It's okay. Maybe it will come up later. Thank you.
Thank you. Anna, would you like to respond directly?
So the topics which are existing already, they are going to have new components. So, for example, media education is going to be introduced in the three subjects which already exist. And they were there, like critical thinking, analysis of the texts, etc., but with the different issues and aspects. So it's smarter. And also because of the shrinking the society, like the people getting older, there's less kids, it's also giving the possibilities for the teachers to expand and also to learn new capacities, etc. So it's wiser in that regard. So it's not like creating the new aspects, but rather enriching those which are existing. And it's not going that everything is going to be introduced already in the upcoming years, but it's like successfully, yes, it's going to be implemented year after year. So to give the school to adopt to the new environment, etc. I didn't also mention that the IT technical solutions are coming, the STEM laboratories. Also, the majority of the schools are going to have them. So yes, so but with the health education and sexual education, it was wild. So it was very, put it that way, we faced a lot of challenges with those issues. So right now they are going to be divided, unfortunately. But it's the consensus which was introduced. So we are having the special advisory body which is working on it. So yes, that was the social consensus, which was welcome because yeah, that was needed.
Okay, Peppa. Yeah, but it's.
Hello, my name is Peppa. I'm from Bulgaria. Concerning to these lessons in school, what age actually start this education and who provide this knowledge to students? you have a special teachers, or you educate teachers in school to give the knowledge of kids?
So we have special centers which are educating teachers, and they are providing trainings. Like we have Arthur here, he's representing that center, for example. So the teachers are very well educated in Poland. So usually that one teacher is responsible for several topics and subjects. So it's enough sometimes like to give the space and to enrich the capacities of the teacher. Sometimes it's like extra curriculum, like 2-year school after the MA which they are having to get the new capacities in the health education, for example. So those teachers which were responsible for the certain topics or like going to the certain universities to get the extra diploma, to get the possibilities and certificates to have like the skills to teach in other topics. So that's the clue. Right now we have the contacts, and we are developing the cooperation with the organization of the doctors. Okay, so like it's a huge organization. Like the body consists and developed by the all professional of doctors. And we are trying like to accommodate the experience of the students to teach the teachers and also to teach the students of the health education. So we are trying to find a way like to empower those teachers which are existing, and also like to create the new channels to exchange the education platforms. And also, which I forgot to mention, we are like responsible for the creation of the strategy of youth for the 10 upcoming years for Poland. And we are involving in other ministries, which will be responsible for the aspects as well. And also what we are doing, which also shows like that new blood came to the ministry, like is the data-driven action. So we've analyzed almost all analysis created in Poland about the youth and the young adults, and based on that was the trajectory of life. So as the child is getting older, there are the certain aspects of harm and challenges which they are going to face, and the certain ministry and actions are going to be implemented. So also like the cyber security is part of it, and the safety. So yeah.
I have a question also to you, Anna. Sorry. Because you hail from the Ministry of National Education. I have a question related a little bit more to current events, and in what capacity is the ministry right now capable to mitigate the effects of what is happening in real time? I'm talking about, the breakthrough of the so-called rape academy. I'm talking about the backlash of the Giselle Pellico case. I'm talking about these things that enter the minds of very young people right now. And is there a tool, or will there ever be a tool in the ministry? Are you thinking about something like that could immediately be used to react and to talk to these young people, to reach them immediately and explain and, I don't know, somehow mitigate the damage that this is causing? Because I think we're in an unprecedented time in history, definitely related to the backsliding of female rights as human rights. And I want to know, is this something that is on your mind? Are you discussing something like this? Are you working on something like this? Are you able to react real time to such threats?
Right. So the minister and the ministry had a certain capacities and regulations. So and schools have their own regulations as well, and they are independent. So it's not that we can force someone to do something. Like we can send a recommendation. We are like we are creating the regulations for the educational system. And the Polish law is regulating also the support for the schools, like the supervision, how the school is implementing certain issues. But like we are doing thousands of things, also in the terms of security of the kids, also in the terms of violence between the kids, like peer violence, right? So I've mentioned we are doing, there was a special program and also recommendation for the schools how to prevent the peer violence and how to support those kids and how to prevent, how to react. We are implementing the so-called child ombudsman on the level of the schools, of the like on the different levels, and also like with the cooperation of with the cities on the regional level. So we are trying to react, but like, and I'm happy that we have like people with a different experience. That's like we are trying to prevent rather to react after the case, right? So. And also there's a lot of exchanges, international exchanges. There's also like the willingness of the government to do something with the access to the social media for the kids. So that's why the meeting which I mentioned was organized, because we need to, there was a lesson learned from Australia and in other countries as well. Also, there is an aspect of banning of the usage of the telephones in the schools. But there's all that there are the complicated issues. So like we need to like think it smartly to help and not to destroy this like autonomy of the teachers and also like the relationship between the society within the school framework. So yes, they are the different, and it's like they are different challenges, right?
Thank you. We have 2 questions by Jessica Kotwara and then Jacek Kucharczyk. We will collect them. And then if there is... Okay, there is Irina. Okay, it will be the last one. Good.
Thank you so much. Good afternoon. I have a question that is somehow related to what Anna has already said, but I wouldn't like to address this question to you, but maybe to other panelists. I'm wondering, because we are observing a shift, like a serious political shift everywhere in the world. Specifically, I was observing it in Brussels, in the EU. And we know that the topics are shifting, right? So since the agenda is turning to be a bit more conservative, also some topics are getting out of the agenda. As it was in Poland with the health education, sexual education, it is happening the same with the gender disinformation, right? Sometimes we cannot even have the word gendered anymore on the agenda because it is already a political statement. So I'm wondering whether there are any practices, good practices from other countries, maybe from outside of the EU, you are aware of that could maybe help us understand how to navigate this problem and how to keep it as part of the dialogue that is so vital for understanding and for coping with those mechanisms. Because what I'm observing is sad and I'm a bit concerned and I don't really see anything that could be a solution. So I would love to hear about it. Thank you.
Thank you. I have a question to Anna, but also to Professor Gasztold. 2 questions, really. To Anna, my question follows up on what you said about health education, the problem that sexual education is, as I understand, not part of it, of the curriculum, which is very unfortunate. But my question is about mental health education, whether this will be part of the curriculum for this topic. And especially, would it include something that I would call digital hygiene education? Because these are, we know that learning how to spot disinformation and so on and so forth is one thing, but just the way young people use their access to digital world, their iPhones and so on, is very troubling to me as a father of 2 teenagers. And I really struggle to control this. And I think learning certain habits, like, you know, you learn how to wash your hands, or that you should wash your hands. And I think that we could develop a set of habits how to act vis-a-vis our smartphones and so on. So, and I think it's very connected to mental health and this digital hygiene. So it's a bit of a question and a suggestion. And then to Professor Gallstadt, you mentioned this idea to remove, let's say, misogynist hate speech from the networks before it appears or before people to whom it's addressed see it. And could you say a bit more how it works and how it is different with some artificial intelligence-driven censorship? Will we be able to train artificial intelligence to tell the difference between you know, what is still within the free speech area and what is hate speech, and cleanly, sort of surgically remove the other one? Or is that the price we will have to pay for having less hate speech online if we agree to use such instruments? Thank you.
And the last, yeah, we will just collect the last question, and I will be back at the panel.
Thank you very much. I'm Irina from Anais Association, Romania. My question, yes, again for Anna especially, but also for other guests. In terms of good practices, I want to share a little bit about the context in Romania, and maybe if there are some challenges that you also experienced in Poland. Unfortunately, Ministry of Education in Romania is not so much open into introducing gender equality, not at all sexual education, and so on. But there are still some teachers who are open-minded. They have a little bit of freedom to adapt their classes or to bring some critical thinking in terms of human rights, gender equality, media literacy, and so on. But they experience, I would say, two types of resistance. One is from their own colleagues, because also studies shows in Romania, maybe it's the case also in Poland, but for Romania, the teachers are in average having more conservative and more right patriarchal values than the average of population. And another type of resistance is from the parents, and not necessarily that all the parents would be against their kids or youngsters to learn about gender equality, but sometimes there are a very small but very active and vocal group of parents who would say that if, for example, a child learns about gender equality or will study some poet who maybe was gay, then definitely the child will also be gay, be sexualized, and so on. And teachers, from lack of resources, and also schools, they would not have that much time to mitigate, have discussions with the community, and so on, as we know that this should be. And from an economy of time, resources, and so on, then they would not address these topics and maybe comply not that much with their own values or with the values of the society that they want to build, but with the values of a very, I would say, still minority of very conservative and patriarchal values. And I want to learn if you had similar experiences in Poland, and how was this overcome when changing the curricula, and maybe other good practices for this matter from the other experts. Thank you very much.
Thank you for all these questions, and good practices are welcome. Okay,
at first I will share with you the answer to the question about cyber hygiene. There are many NGOs in Poland that are doing brilliant job. For example, the Institute of Digital Citizenship. It's amazing, really. I do recommend their works, their papers, and also Pro Publico Bono workshops. And I have a children as well, so I understand your fears. So this information is spread everywhere. Roblox, Minecraft, Discord, Reddit, all the platforms, not only usual social media. And I think that we should start to educate parents, because children, they copy our behaviors, and somebody allows them to use and pay their bills. So come on, we are responsible, not 13 years old children for the content. Of course, the problem is that we have here two models. From my perspective, state security model and big tech business model, where everything is allowed. So we should change our attitude to them and force them to detect this hostile content as well. And we have got measures in democracy. Of course, disinformation, it's not defined, tamed, and penalized in our penal code. However, hate speech, it is. Gender hate speech. The penal code was revised 1 year ago, and gender hate speech is added there. So we had tools in our democratic law. However, according to AI use, it is used against terrorism, espionage, sexual abuse of children. So why not against harming women? It's the same value for me. We have human beings, and they should be protected. Sexual minorities, ethnicity, religious things, etc. So we need only will of acting. You have mentioned very important thing, that gender term is now seen as ideology. It was always seen like that. I remember when from my articles in Keywords, near abstract, gender was moved, switched to women issues, come on. And also in Poland, I observed this problem with term radicalization. We don't have any problem with youth radicalization. Yes, we have, and it has changed. 3 weeks ago, it was a huge conference in the Internal Security Agency, and they have accepted the problem with low-level radicalization, low-level according to age, that something is going on with youth. And the things with anti-feminist movement are very often interrelated with anti-democratic movement, anti-state, and they are supported from abroad. I don't want to say that it's Russia, because I observe many actors involved in division of European Union. So when in previous panel, it was such a statement: if you have a problem, look for allies. I see the problem with misogyny, with this rape movement. I look for another topics. I can combine them and show to security services, okay, it's anti-feminist. I know that you don't want to deal with anti-women movement. However, they are also anti-democratic. They are pro-use violence. It can be a spark for extremism, violent extremism. Oh, it's interesting. Yes, so always combine things and look how to sell them to be interested for further action. So I understand that very often there are separated issues because youngsters, they copy something from internet. However, we can use AI tools to, we are doing it on NASC when we combat sexual, combat detect actually and send information further. This content, however, we can also use to, and we detect it. However, I'm very proud of Polish society because very often the first signs of prevention, they are coming from internet users and also from teenagers. And very often they are much more well educated than we are. We as parents, I'm saying that, so there is a slight hope that they observe also they are too addicted to internet, and I see difference between 14 years old user of smartphones and 6 years. Something has changed. This mode trend of using all the time is declining. I hope so, of course. I don't know it, I haven't researched it, but I observe, for example, I like to observe people. I never look into my smartphone during my way in Warsaw, and many young people, they have started to reading books.
And then we did, yeah.
Yeah. In the terms of mental health and those aspects, they are part of it. And it's a huge component. So in the terms of sexual education, it will be part of the curriculum, but it will be not obligatory. So it's like one lesson per year. So like we are hoping that those kids will stay. Of course, with the different levels, there will be different aspects of it. So right now, the situation has calmed down. So like it's somehow normalized. So there's a hope behind it. So there isn't one aspect. And also like the safety, manipulation, media literacy, cyber safety. So it's part of it as well. So with the different topics, with the different subjects. So like repetitor est mater studiorum, right? So like it will be implemented in several topics addressed by the different teachers, like to be sure that like kids are having it within them, also teachers as well. So in the terms of your question, I will explain briefly like my background. I was introduced that I was working on the discrimination, hate speech, hate crimes, genocides. That's my educational portfolio. I was working for 9 years also with my colleagues on the National Democratic Institute, but I was responsible for the V4 portion, Ukraine and Western Balkans, also working with women, working on the gender disinformation, etc., etc. So why I'm saying it, because like when I started to work with the ministry, I've analyzed like the hatred towards minister. And I've analyzed like very briefly, very quickly with the different ministers, and there was different gender aspects which she was attacked. Because how she looks. When she was talking about the reform, there was no about her competences or the content what she was using, but rather like gender slurs or sexual abuse or etc., etc. Like very vulgar, very aggressive. And what she did, and what I think is smart, and as I was analyzing different participatory processes, also working with the cities in the region, she is not implementing reforms. There's a special institute which they did the analysis, which they invite like almost 23,000 teachers, like to ask them what is needed, and based on that. they created the working groups based on activists, teachers from the academia, teachers from the primary, secondary school, and they were developing the curriculum. So it was not politicized. There was the expert and data-driven action. So it's the answer from the field, what is needed. And also like the students were asked if that is appropriate, if that is needed, what is needed. Right now, there is a new curriculum created for the secondary school, and also we are going to implement like the meetings with the students to ask them and to verify if that is accurate, what should be implemented in the new curriculum. So it was not done by her, and maybe that's why it's appreciated and adopted. Mm-hmm.
Thank you so much. And Sanya, for your closing remarks.
Thank you for the question about good examples. I have many of them, and I'm an optimist really in this area. I think it's inevitable that we attain gender equality. And this is a temporary setback, in my opinion. But we have to, of course, be very actively involved in pushing back to progress rather than regress. So some examples include, first of all, I think we live in two parallel gender regimes in most societies. One is the attempt to go back to what is misconstrued as tradition, and where, you know, we walk away from gender equality. But the other one is gender equality, and more women are highly educated, and there is this CEDAW General Committee recommendation number 40 on gender parity and on equal participation, so 50-50 participation in political and public life. And this is the new norm. It is not a discussion, it's the norm. So now we really need to implement this norm and to make it true for all women, because it isn't, we're not all equally far from parity. Roma women, women with disabilities, young women, they're further away. So we have to show solidarity in that regard. Then there are many attempts, successful attempts to engage men as advocates for gender equality. And actually, without men, we cannot achieve it. And I think we all have to work on that. And just last week, we were in North Macedonia working with parliaments and election stakeholders. And one parliamentarian staffer says, I'm a feminist, certified one. I've received education and I have bought into it. And there are more and more men who are really authentically committed to gender equality and see a value in it. And we work with men also through the Change Project. Among others, the toughest nut to crack, perhaps, men from religious communities who are, we're working together on ways in which they can help address violence against women and girls, because they have a lot of leverage on our attitudes and behaviors and how communities function and what is normalized and what isn't. And there is a lot of desire in Poland as well. We invited diverse religious communities and service providers to victims of violence and feminist activists together. So it's really about this dialogue, about explaining, because no religious community is really sponsoring violence against women. But they're often not meddling in it. They think it's a private sphere, or they're taking action where they do not really have competence. And also I want to talk about, you know, the new norms. Violence against women in politics is increasingly recognized as a specific form of violence. Many countries are codifying it. I'm not a positivist, you know, that norms will resolve everything, but it's recognizing it. UK government has a complaints committee that deals very seriously with these complaints. That's a positive example. We have developed a tool on addressing violence against women in politics, and we have recently published the 6th one. It's all online. Direct experiences of women who were victims of violence in politics, also from Poland. 19 of them who bravely spoke about it, and it's important to talk about it. I myself I'm a survivor of violence, so I know that it's important for us to talk about it and not be ashamed. It's not us who should be ashamed. So there is more and more support to make it unacceptable. And I think it is really about persisting, about being there, and we will for sure win this one.
Thank you, Sania. It was a fantastic closing remarks. Sania Nikolin, Anna Makówka-Kwapisiewicz, Aleksandra Gasztold. Applause deserved. Thank you so much. I was asked to say some words for the end of the whole conference. You can stay here. You can change your position. It won't be long, but yeah, just to be sure that we close this part. As this is the end of this conference, this is also almost the end of our common project. Gillen's project, and there have been said so many wise words and so many excellent speakers along the almost 2 years activities that we have, that I'm really ashamed to say something new and at least so clever that in the previous interventions. But what I like very much about the Gillen's project, and I want to share with you, is that we shared different perspectives from not only different countries, Bulgaria, Cyprus, Romania, and Poland, but we also shared different perspectives from educators, researchers, scholars, experts, and last but not least, from young people. The project was devoted to them, right? To empower them with all the challenges that we've been talking today and the day long, and also during another conferences. We saw that the challenges are there. There are plenty of them. Probably there are new coming that we even imagine that they can come. This is how the world is working, but this is not the point how the world is working, because the violence was all the time part of our humanity, right? That the point is how we are dealing with this, how we are feeling about this as individuals, but also as institutions, as states or international networks. And what we have after this 2 years project is this knowledge that we gained. As we started, we discovered with Mix, with the colleagues from Cyprus, there is actually less of knowledge, only few reports in our countries compared with Great Britain or Germany or other countries on this phenomenon of gender-based disinformation. But we collect some knowledge within the 2 years, also in countries where, like Bulgaria, Romania, you are struggling sometimes with even more difficult situations and not support, just call it this way, also from your government. And this is definitely a benefit of the project. And another one is a network of fantastic partners. I more than sure that I will speak in the name of all of us, that we really enjoy the work with each other, the company, the openness also to share information and experiences on these very difficult issues as well. We have a lot of participants getting aware of the phenomenon. Joasia was presenting all the activities and the numbers. This is also like our legacy of this project, that this not that widespread knowledge about gender-based disinformation and different types, they are connected and they are like interfering with each other of threats for young people online, but also in a real life, I mean in a analogic life, that we what we gain is to reach out a lot of young people to make them aware, but also to empower them, to equip them in a ways, instruments how to deal with the threats. We learned also a lot from them. It could be more, but all projects are having this limited time. So cross the finger for us for the new application that we made as a follow-up of this project, exactly on this part, how to develop tools for teaching each other, for teaching youngsters, but also youngsters to the adults. I hope it will that will succeed with the funding, and we can continue our work. And what is also for me the effect of the project is that we have common challenges, and we need also common solutions, both at the local level, in our communities, in our countries, working with experts, with governments, with schools and all these different actors, but also on the European level. This is not only the role of the European Commission and European institution to support projects as ours, I mean, which is good that they do, but they, I mean, the European regulations, advocacy that should be made, you know, on this international level, brings us more power, you know, to influence all the platforms, big techs, and all other actors that we as individuals are too small against to fight or even to influence. So I hope that that in our report that is to be written soon and will be also read by the Commission. We will also express this expectation that all this kind of different layers need support also on the European level, and then the solution will come back from the European level to the local communities. Thank you so much for the 2 years of cooperation, for the whole day today, especially to our young participants. I hope you enjoy it. Something of that we can share the experiences in the lobby. Thank you, Joanna, and your team for preparing the conference, bringing us here together. Thank you so much.
Let me also thank you all for coming today again, because it was a real pleasure to meet you all in person. I'm very grateful that I could meet so many amazing people in this project, even though I have joined it just a few months ago, but I immediately felt like home with such amazing partners. You are really great people to work with, and I learned a lot, and I couldn't be happier to have such a great journey on my career path. And I also wanted to say thank you to Alicia for all your support. Marilena, you were absolutely great. Thank you for being so patient to all my questions. Mariola, also thank you for your help. Małgosiu, thank you very much that you were there every time I had like a million questions before this conference. I really appreciate that, and I'm gonna miss working in this project, because I believe that we need more initiatives like this. And I hope that one common key takeaway for all of us is to be careful when sharing news, you know, before we share it. Maybe next time we'll think twice, or maybe we will be more active in our local communities or groups of friends when we hear something that probably may not be true. And what else? Let's scroll less. I think it's a very good message. And thank you again. Thank you very much for coming. And if you would like to fill in the questionnaire, please feel free to do so. We're going to share it via email as well if you don't have time to do it now. It's very short, but we will be very grateful for that. Thank you very much. Have a great rest of the day, and let's stay in touch.